all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey everybody, how are we doing? Hey, thank you so much, Steve, for kicking off the contributions in such a major way. I appreciate you. Said what it is. Good sister and peeps, drizzle is still funny to me. Drizzle is funny. And thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much, and thank you all for posting the link for me so that I can pin it. I appreciate y'all. So I'm really coming to touch base. We might be here an hour, we might be here less. I'm not sure. But I wanted to talk about relationships again. And it amazes me how all the failures and the problems in a marriage is always a man's fault. Like, people must think, they got to, I know that they do, think that I just pander and I want stuff to be women's fault all the time. And I promise you that's not what it is. It's just that it amazes me that every single problem in a marriage, can it be one person's fault? Is it just always the guys? Is everything just turned back always to the guys? And that's just, it amazes me. That's all. It just amazes me. I got a clip that I want to show. I got a clip. I'm just going to jump to it. We're not even going to waste too much time.
Married woman to a married woman, sometimes we make mistakes and we don't make our husbands feel safe. And sometimes before we look and say it's our husband's fault, why are you not available? Where did I not make you feel safe? So that way you can show some emotional availability to me. So that way you can express your weaknesses. You can express your vulnerabilities. Start pointing the finger at yourself so you can actually start being the togetherness and the partnership that you're supposed to be.
I got to ask this question, but do you feel safe? See, that's the thing.
No, because then let me say that, Ace. No, it is very easy. And I'm saying this because I have been in this place where I didn't feel safe. But we are talking about in a marriage. And sometimes we don't feel safe because we did not compromise and we were not flexible enough to create the safety in the communion, in our togetherness. And sometimes we sit here and say, I don't feel safe because it's easier for me to focus on me. That's what I mean. When we're always focused on ourselves, that marriage is never going to work, because sometimes it is us. I want safety, but in this whole entirety or somewhere in the marriage, I didn't create safety for you. She probably doesn't feel safe because both of them dropped the ball somewhere. So now they need to sit down together and figure out where do we make a mistake? Where do we drop the ball at? Where can we both create safety? Not just me, because this is a together, this is a union, this is from a married woman.
Now, I may let it run through again. I got what she was trying to say, although it took her a long time to articulate what she was trying to say. And she was saying it from one married woman to another. Apparently, the lady she was talking to in the audience was also a married woman. And the question apparently was about feeling safe. And I would assume meaning emotionally so. Able to be vulnerable, able to sort of bare your soul to your spouse. Somebody put the membership link in for Lo. Thank you so much, so that he can join the channel. And I'm assuming that we're talking about emotionally so, emotional safety, vulnerability, being able to show my underbelly to my spouse and not worry that this is going to somehow not be a good thing, that this is going to backfire on me in some horrific way. First thing is, I don't understand how people get into marriage, but there is no trust on that level. But we may circle back around to that, or maybe not. I don't know. But what she was trying to articulate is that it is reciprocal. It's easy for a woman to say she doesn't feel safe in a relationship being vulnerable. And Ace was real quick to try to jump in a place in a conversation where he did not belong. But what she was trying to tell the women was that it is projection. You not feeling safe is a nice, quick, easy way to project and to deny the lack of safety for your husband's vulnerability in this same relationship. Okay? If you do not create safe spaces, then there will be no safe spaces. It's not just for the man to create an emotional safe space for women and for his wife. It is also up to her to create emotional safe space for him, especially since the emotions is our wheelhouse. We are the ones that build that type of home, that create those types of spaces. And women very easily can make a safe emotional space, or we can make a toxic one. It really all depends on what time of the day and whether or not it was February 36th. Okay? We can very easily make toxic spaces where men can't talk and men can't be themselves, and our husbands can't be themselves. Thank you so much for your membership, Miss Gloria. I appreciate you so much, sweetheart.
Now you have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
I appreciate you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. And thank you as well, Lo, for becoming a member.
Now you have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
All right, so and I just dropped some membership content today. Y'all know what was going on with Fresh and Fit. Yeah, I had my take. Probably won't be the last take either, but I had to say what I had to say. So you might want to become a member and check that out as well. But going back to females creating safe spaces, along with everything else that women nowadays think is supposed to go on in a relationship. We think we're the only ones that's supposed to have that safe space, and it doesn't matter if we create it for our husbands or not. And a lot of times we project not feeling safe enough to express ourselves honestly because we do not allow him to do that with us. And when I say us, I don't even mean, I'm not talking about lionesses. We'll get to the lioness lesson in a little bit. But right now I'm talking about the general body of modern women. Do not create safe spaces for their husbands. They make it toxic. Anytime that he is vulnerable with you, the number one way that females make toxic emotional spaces for their husbands is throwing stuff back up in his face that he says in confidence and in moments of vulnerability. The things that he shares with you in moments of vulnerability, shares things in confidence that he may not have told anyone, or that he may have only told a couple of people or one other person or whatever, is something that he holds close to his chest. You know, he may feel a way about it, or there may be some guilt surrounding it, or whatever the case may be, whatever it may be. And in a moment of vulnerability, he tells it to you as his wife. I don't care if it's 163 years later. You cannot bring that back up, particularly in anger. And you cannot bring it back up to throw it in his face or to make him feel shame about it or make him feel guilty about it or anything else. And women love to do that. Your man tell you something while y'all cupcaked and pillow talking, and then the moment that you get upset with him, the moment that you can use it as a dagger, the moment that you can pop him upside the head with it, you don't hesitate. That's why your mama did such and such to you when you was little. Now I see why she did it. See? And he may say something about it, and he may not. But whether he puts voice to how you just did him or not, he feel now that's filed. Oh, I can't tell her nothing. Because when we're in the midst of an argument, or we're upset with one another, or something goes wrong, or something don't go her way, or, you know, we are, whatever the case may be, we're not on good terms right now, she's going to bring that up as a point of contention and as a way to hurt me. She's going to use it as a bludgeon now because she's mad. This is the number one way to create emotional non-safe spaces. Throwing stuff back up in people's face. And for me, that's one of my pet peeves. It's a real quick way to get me to not mess with you no more ever. Oh, I can't tell you nothing. Oh, okay. I see. Because I promise you, if I tell you something and you throw it back up in my face, oh. This goes also for any time that your husband may have needed you. You came through, helped them out in whatever way he needed you to help him out. That could be financially, that could be emotion, that could be any kind of thing, tangible, non-tangible. Bringing that back up. Well, I helped you do such and such, and I bought that, and I did. Oh, we bringing it back up. So when you get upset, now you want to count. That also creates non-safe That creates toxic emotional spaces because now he can't come to you when he needs you. Because he knows later on you're going to bring it back up. So now he can't even be vulnerable in a time of need. Man, I need my wife help on such and such. He thinking we a team, and if I can't come to nobody, I should be able to come to you. If ain't nobody got my back, you should have my back. That's why that story of the woman who stole $47,000 from her husband, that's why it was so egregious and why so many hyenas couldn't see nothing wrong with it. The most egregious part of the story, aside from the theft of the money, was seeing him in a vulnerable space and not helping. Could not come to you for help. Could not come to his wife for assistance. And he's supposed to be able to come to her if he can't come to nobody. Not even so much as a team. That was actually the most egregious part. It was more egregious than the actual money that was taken. So what she was trying to articulate in that clip was, if you want a safe space as a woman for your husband to, he listens to you, he hears you, want to feel heard, you want to feel recognized, you want to feel validated, and all of these types of things. You want your feelings validated and things of that nature. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you got to give to receive. That's what she's saying. You got to give to receive. If you want something, your hand got to be open in order to get it, right? If you want something put in your hand, don't you got to open your hand to get it, to receive it? So then your hand is open. That means things can come out of your hand as well as come into your hand. If you got it like this, you just holding on to what you have, then nothing can get in here. Certainly nothing coming out. So if I want safe spaces, then I have to create safe spaces emotionally. That's actually the female's job, to create the emotional house of the marriage. So many people don't understand that. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that concept before I even explain it. Put a 2 if you need, because I'm going to explain it, but put a 2 if you need that explanation. One of the main and one of the most important jobs of a wife is to create the emotional house, to build the place where the two hearts come together, to create that place. Men have a role in it. Because they set the foundation of the relationship overall and what the relationship is going to consist of. Okay. So men create the actual foundation of what the relationship is going to be, what it consists of, what's acceptable within it, and what is not. If you agree to be this man's wife, then you have also agreed that the structure that and the parameters that he set for this relationship is okay with you. You're okay with this. You can live with this and you can thrive inside of the foundation of this relationship. We keeping up so far? Once this is done, it now becomes a woman, one of her primary jobs, one of her primary intangible jobs is to create the place for emotional health and emotional growth in this relationship, the coming together of the heart. How do we do that? You said it, Crimson, but how do you practically do that? The small kindnesses do it. The small kindnesses help build it first. This is where the catering to the men come from. See, all of this stuff has a point and a purpose. There's a point and a purpose to relieving your husband of his coat when he come in, help him take his shoes off, helping him. Those are the physical things that help bring ease and comfort emotionally. The small things like that, they seem small. They are small tasks. They are small acts. However, the impact that they have on him emotionally is that it helps to bring his heart towards your heart. The impact that small tasks, small deeds, such as that, has on your husband is that it brings his heart closer to your heart. He begins to feel soft and soft and soft and soft towards you. It softens his heart rather than hardening it. It softens his heart to the same degree that ignoring him and ever catering to him and speaking harshly to him hardens his heart away from you. So you got to do the opposite. There's a point to doing service to your husband. Feed him his food. Fix his plate. Set it in front of him. Sometimes, you don't have to do it all the time. Sometimes take a morsel of that food and put it in his mouth. He should do the same to you. This helps bring the hearts together. Okay? I'm not telling you what I think. Auntie telling you what she know. Kindness. Smile, even if you don't say anything. If he needs a little bit of time to decompress, he doesn't want to talk right now, but there's no attitude or anything like that, then okay, babe. And find you something to do. And y'all are chatted up over the food, or y'all are chatted up watching a movie, or y'all are chatted up cuddling or whatever. Okay? When you do these things, you create a place or you create an atmosphere where your husband is more sentimental towards you. His heart is softer towards you. When he thinks of his wife, he doesn't think about stressful things and how much disdain or the argument that y'all had, or he think about, man, I really want to do stuff for her because she's so nice to me. And even when I know she got an attitude, that is where the real sacrifice for women come in at. When we don't feel at that moment quite loving towards him. When we don't actually feel that at that time. I don't want to take his coat off. I don't want to put that food in front of him. I don't feel like that right now. I might be stressed out about something else. He might have stressed me out. The kids might have stressed me out. Work might have stressed me out. Whatever. I ain't in the mood. Whatever the case may be, I ain't in the mood. That is where the actual sacrifice comes in at for a woman. That emotional sacrifice is on the same level that his physical sacrifice is on. He doesn't feel like going to work to make no money. He tired. And not physically tired. He tired of going out there. He tired of dealing with them people. He tired, whatever it is, he tired. He don't want to do this. But he think, you know what? Because if I don't do it, then it's all going to be on me. And then let me go on out here and do it. And he swallow it and he and go out there. Our emotional sacrifice is on the exact same level as that. I do not feel, because see, ladies, we can't just do this when we feel lovey-dovey with him, because I promise you, you're not going to feel lovey-dovey with him every day. You will not. You will not. And he ain't going to feel it every day either. Okay? Every day, y'all is not going to be walking on rose petals. It's just not the way it is. But it also does not have to decline into this stressful place where there's no peace. You don't like each other. You get on each other's nerves all day. It doesn't have to devolve into that either. There is a way to maintain the peace and the contentment in your marriage. Because for the day that you don't feel like being bothered with your husband, the next day you're going to feel like being bothered with him. We understand as women that our emotions do like this, and it's all the time. Some women are worse than others in that regard. This is why I'm talking about feel so much, because I'm talking to the ladies. But what I'm also saying is how to build your emotional house. The foundation of it is the small kindnesses that you do for your husband. These things bring him closer to you emotionally. As time go on, especially this is a new relationship or something, he feel more comfortable being more vulnerable with you emotionally. Okay? And after these messages, I need everybody to go to, why is it not doing it? Thank you. Go to ashkicking.com, because it's springtime, right? The weather's breaking and all this kind of stuff all over the nation. Pretty much the weather's starting to break and we're starting to come outside and show a little bit more skin, and it absolutely positively cannot be ashy. So if you do not want ashy, crusty, dusty skin, you're gonna have to go to ashkicking.com and pick up your jar of body butter. It looks exactly like that in these wonderful scents that you can choose. And this is nice and thick and creamy, not overwhelming at all. None of their body care products are overwhelming or doing too much. They are just right. And if this is your first order, you definitely want to take advantage of the 10% discount that you can receive using the promo code Crimson. So once again, click the link at the top of the chat, ashkicking.com, to pick up your order today. And I don't know how many likes I owe or that I need, but I owe y'all a bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to Define slave. Define a slave. Or we could talk about it. I'm in a certain kind of mood. Here's the thing. Thank you so much, Jake. So I'm so appreciative of you for all the wisdom, proper perspective of a lioness you've given us. I hope I'm not out of bounds by saying this, but I wanted to make sure you're still doing one-on-one calls. I already emailed. I do. Let me give you your props first. So thank you so much for the contribution, Jake. And I do one-on-one consultations. So my coaching is open. So all that you have to do is email me and I will get back with you with a short little form to fill out just to solidify time and date. And then we're off to the races. We definitely can have a coaching session or one or two or three, however many you feel like you need to. So that's for anybody. My coaching is open. So thank you so very much. Okay. Yeah, I heard about that. They be doing it, don't they? It's like, really, y'all? Can't wait to the weather break just a little bit, then get stupid. Anyways. So here's the thing. I'm trying to get back my train of thought because there was a certain thing that I wanted to say. I started off with doing the small tasks and the small kindnesses in order to help build the emotional house for your marriage to thrive emotionally. Today, too many people in general, women specifically, but sometimes even the guys, focus too much on the success of the marriage having so much to do with the external things, money and jobs and, finances and where you live and what kind of house you have and what kind of cars you drive and what kind of clothes. And that's not to downplay the importance of some of that stuff, right? Because you don't want to be scraping the bottom of the barrel all the time. You don't want to be in a relationship where there's absolutely no thriving when it comes to finances and when it comes to those types of things. You don't want to be, even if you're in a relationship and nobody becomes wealthy and nobody becomes rich, you don't want to be pillar to post. You don't want to be living in shelters and living on the streets and things like that. Nobody prefers that type of lifestyle. So we're not going to be going to the extremes and say that those things are simply not important, because they have their importance. They have their place, and their place is their place. But there's an overemphasis on those things in terms of the success of the marriage, or whether or not a marriage can be successful. Okay. Those things are not the only things at play that dictate the success or the failure of a marriage. Okay. The success and or the failure of marriage also lies in the emotional intangible space. That's a female's responsibility. This is partially why I was talking about marriage problems are always the man's fault, because since the men are in leadership position, women like to throw it off on them. Well, if the marriage failed, then it's his fault. But notice the talking point is different. When the marriage succeeds, they say it's because the women were able to put up with all his foolishness, and that's why the marriage succeeded. Not because of anything that he did positively, but because she was able to endure foolishment the entire time. So a 20, 30, 40, 50-year marriage is only that length of time because he was doing so much foolishness and she was such a desperate pick-me pushover that she endured all of it, and that's why the marriage was so long. You heard that? So the success of the marriage is her, has nothing to do with him. And the failure of the marriage is him, has nothing to do with her. Correct? We with me so far? The emotional spaces of the marriage is the woman's responsibility. If the finances and the leadership and the overall structures of the marriage and the relationship is a man's responsibility, fine. Now we come to, well, what is the woman's responsibility in a marriage? And I'm tired of the cook, clean, watch the kids scenario. I'm sick of that. That is base. Single women do that. Single women raise their kids and cook something to eat and clean their house. Okay? And that's all it is to it. That is the most basic possible. That is not what wives bring to their marriages. That's so basic, we shouldn't even be talking about that. Because I wish my womanhood would be relegated down to a dinner. I wish it would be. I do so much more than that in an intangible space. This is what makes the lioness powerful and what makes the hyena not worthy of a marriage, because she can't carry the emotional load of her marriage. We are the emotional conduit in the whole house. We are the managers of everybody's emotions. This is why a lioness has to be in control of her own emotional responses. We cannot be so incredibly out of control that every time something happens, we gotta, fly out of, what I'm saying? And somebody gotta bring us down every time. We have to have self-discipline emotionally. So every time that we're upset, or every time something happens that we're displeased about, every time something happens and we can't fly off of, Earth, and it's somebody else's responsibility to calm us down. It is not, what are you, 5? A temper tantrum all the time. You basically kicking in the middle of the floor every time something happens. No one has time for an adult doing that. I barely got time for the toddler to do it. They gonna get a spanking. You understand? Because that's what we not gonna do. I'm not even gonna get you accustomed to that, of thinking you can jump down in the middle of the floor every time you get upset. So things are gonna make you upset. Things are going to displease you. You're not gonna like everything. But we are adult women. And life, we have to understand life, you're not going to like everything that's going on. So you have to have yourself under emotional control. This is why a woman's spirituality is so important, because that's what keeps us under some type of discipline and emotional control. Because we got to manage everybody else's emotions. So if ours is always OC, how we managing somebody else? If you have a husband and children, everybody got different personalities, correct? I had to manage a house with a man and kids in it, and everybody had a different personality. Okay, a different temperament. Everybody wasn't in a good mood all the time. And I had to manage it in a way that did not cause unnecessary conflict in the house. So if I knew that one of the kids had an attitude, and because my first husband had an attitude problem. Okay, it was real quick to get him started. Okay, it didn't take nothing to get him started, baby. Okay, and I knew that. So one of the kids got a attitude. Now I got to quell that somehow. I gotta do something with that before he come in. Because if he come in and you pouting and running around here with your mouth long enough to suck peas out of a hot sauce bottle, and you stomping and slamming it, hey, see, now that's gonna be a whole thing. So I gotta talk to you or something. And a lot of times I would put him, when he came in, I put him in a real good mood. So if he do look at you and your mouth long, he ain't really paying too much attention to you, especially if you ain't running around the house trying to stomp and act stupid. You understand? I know the women in here, the lionesses in here that have children with their husbands know exactly what I'm talking about. Right? This is what she was saying in that clip. The emotional safe space is the female's responsibility. We got to manage everybody's emotions in the house. We got to make sure that balance is achieved more often than not. That don't mean it's perfect. That don't mean we're not going to have blow-ups or arguments or discomfort or, you know what I'm saying, or agitation within the home and a little bit of strife within the home and thinking, that's normal. That's human beings. That's human beings. It's gonna happen. But what you don't want is for that to be the overwhelming majority of the time where there's no peace, where it upsets the peace and the balance in the home. If you create a good space between yourself and your husband, good emotional space, do things that bring the hearts together between the wife and the husband, between yourself and your husband, then you have less of an opportunity. It won't even occur to you to think of him as the ops, and he won't think of you as the ops. Do you understand? Because so many women nowadays do not have a togetherness mindset. It's always in competition with their husbands. Who's gonna outdo who told who to do what, counting what we did, counting what kind of sacrifice we made. Well, I did this for you, but did you do it for me? And and all this other foolishness that does nothing but separate the heart. It separates the heart. It brings the hearts further apart. So now when problems arise, I don't see my husband as my companion, as my other half that's going to help me face these issues. He doesn't see me as a willing partner that's going to help him with issues. We too busy at each other's necks, so that if there is an issue in the marriage, it's easy to blame each other, even if that issue ain't nobody's fault. Because like I've said before, it's a difference in what we go through in our marriage and what we putting each other through. That's a difference. It's a difference. There is a big difference in what we go through together. Going through life, going through issues, some come up and we go through it. That's something totally different than the stuff we putting each other through. Because I promise you, I'm not finna weather that storm with you, and you're putting me through stuff. I'm not weathering that storm with you. And I don't expect you to weather no storm with me, and I'm putting you through stuff. No, that's not how. My husband will not prove that he a good husband by how much foolishness he can endure from me. That's not the gauge of whether or not he a good husband to me, how much foolishness I can do, and then he stay there. That's not the gauge. I promise you that. And the other way around too. The gauge of whether or not I'm a good woman is not how much foolishness he can get up to, and then I just got to stand there. No. That's what I mean by you're putting each other through stuff. You're acting a fool with each other, and then the other one just supposed to stand there. That's different than we going through life together and issues come up, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, and then we go through the ups and downs together. That's different. Because we not putting each other through nothing. And I need people to understand that what we go through as a married couple, as in life, you're supposed to be 10 toes down with each other. You're supposed to be 10 toes down with each other. You're not supposed to leave each other. That is what sickness and health mean. That is what richer and poorer and stuff like that's what that means. Okay? That means life happens to you. Everything ain't gonna always be peachy keen and, you know, rosy and this and that. And you're supposed to stick by each other through good times and bad times and stuff like that. That's what that means. That's what we go through together in life. And we ought not to get that mixed up. We ought not to get that mixed up. If you go through life together, you won't be so quick to point your finger at your husband and say, this is all your fault. Even if you hit a hard time because he made a decision in his leadership that didn't quite pan out the way that he thought it would, and there was a setback because of it, that's also not a reason to start pointing your finger. You know, we wouldn't be in this mess because of you. Stop picking. You in it now. And if he got any bone of discernment in his body, then I'm pretty sure he realizes that that was a mistake that he made, correct? I'm pretty sure that he can think back to the precise moment that he made a dumb decision that he didn't think was dumb at the time, and then it came out stupid, and now he got to deal with it, and now you got to deal with it too. I'm pretty sure he recognizes this. If he got am bone of discernment and leadership in his body. It'll be enough for him to rethink it again. He get back over there to have to make a similar decision. I bet you he think about it twice, 2-3 times before he do it again. Because he plans on, your husband is not infallible. Your husband is a man. No matter how good of a husband he is, no matter how good of a man he is, he's a man. And he's going to make mistakes. Just like you going to make some, and you want him to overlook that. You want him to overlook it when you argues with him and it turns out it was just pee and mess. You want him to forget about that. Right? You want him to forget about that time you spazzed out and had a whole argument and threw something at his head. Then it turns out you was all the way wrong. And then you didn't want to own up to it. You want him to just not mention that. Right? Right. Did I miss a member? No. But thank you, King Peppers. Keisha need cheese to go with all that wine. Thank you so much. And Daughter of Yah, thank you so much for becoming a member, sweetheart.
Now you have been promoted. You are now one of my elite employees.
So I appreciate everybody coming through for their membership, for their contributions. I always forget the Cash Apps, and I have been forgetting them for the last few times. So please forgive me. And thank you, Mogul, and thank you, VM, for your Cash Apps. I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate everybody. But in any case, I hope that this helps somebody. I got a question that's not exactly related to this. How many, put a 1 in the chat if you saw a clip of Anton talking to this young man about how he fumbled a good woman. Put a 1 in the chat if you seen that clip. It was like a call-in or something like that. Somebody finally let me know it's supposed to be 52. I didn't even think about Roman numerals. Would y'all like for me to cover that? And should I cover it as a live stream or a membership? If you think I should cover it as a membership, put member. If you think I should cover it on a regular live stream, put live. Elder said put it on membership. Love C said put it on the membership too. I think about how I want to approach that, because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack in that clip. It was an interesting clip, to say the least. It's a side of things that we don't usually see here on this internet. In any case, I'll consider it how I want to approach it, because I do think that it's worthy to be spoken of. We have, it's a conversation that does absolutely need to be had. Y'all have to hear that man talk, not Anton, but the guest that he was talking about. That's who I want to focus on. It wasn't so much, and I don't want to focus on Anton's feedback, just the person. I'm going to do a little teaser. Thank you, C. In any case, jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure. And this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.